Hello, hello, hello. I am Megan. This is Everybody Yoga with Megan. And today's yoga is about softness. And I think, in my opinion, the more rigid we are, the more brittle we become, and the easier it is to break. So it's like that old saying about like the willow tree, just like bending in the breeze instead of snapping and breaking. It also makes me think of being the water that cuts through a canyon as opposed to the canyon that gets cut. So I don't know, so today's practice is going to be about softness. So we can bring that softness into our physicality, and then ideally that will spill into our way of being, and we will be a soft place for others to land. So let's get started standing at the top of the mat. Bring your arms down, just kind of let them hang. If I turn my palms out, my shoulder rotation is such that my arms go way out. So I'm just gonna let my arms hang, but if you can easily do that, please do. Let your eyes close and just breathe. And I want you to notice how the breath moves in your body. And without a lot of effort, I want you to deepen your breath. So what I mean by without effort is don't focus on, oh, breathe all the way down. Just inhale a little more. Exhale a little more. A couple more times. And as you're ready, softly let the eyes float open. Bend your knees like 5, 6, 7%, and just kind of do a little jiggle, right? It makes me think of the TikTok, my money don't jiggle, jiggle. Yeah, that just happened. Anyways, just getting a little fluid happening. The arms might start to bounce. Just very little movement. We're not forcing anything. And then when you feel like, okay, my knees feel good at this bend, start to just kind of rock the torso. The rib cage is kind of floating, it's moving, rotating, and then begin to just let the arms kind of twist. We're not doing super big movements. We still got a little baby jostling in the knees. We're just kind of letting everything be soft, right? We don't have to pull the lower belly up and in. We're not activating our Uddiyana Bandha, we're just existing. And then come to stillness in the knees and just twist the torso a little bit more. The arms are gonna start to fly a little further out and around. I think we did this a couple practices ago, maybe a couple months ago, where we're just gentle here. So we're not cranking the spine, we're just letting the arms kind of naturally pull and rotate, and then let the arms start to get higher and higher. You might notice, right? Like I'm noticing a part of my spine that's like kind of like kakunk, kakunk. And that's just something to be aware of, right? There's something there that needs to soften. We're not gonna force it, we're just gonna keep twisting. Couple more times, very intentional here. We're not reckless, we're not craning anything. And then come to stillness, just gently easing back. Nothing is rigid. And then bring the weight of your feet forward and backward. You're going to notice that the arms naturally counterbalance you. And then we want to start lifting the arms, the direction of the toes, so a little more intentional here. Letting the arms come up and back. This is very much what children do naturally. Like you see them standing in line and they're just like whoop, 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 flailing about. And that is the energy that we want here. And it's bringing mobility to the joints in a way that's not so structured. So you're gonna notice like, oh, maybe you can't go as far back as you would like. Okay, that's just some information for you to have about your rotator cuff, right? And then again, coming to stillness. Now I'm gonna turn sideways so I don't hit the wall. I want you to just let the arms sweep up and back, up and back. Just about being loose, being in motion, being in flow. And then go the other way. This way might be harder. Just consider all the times as a child that you just kind of flailed about and how free that felt. Gently slowing down. As you're ready, make your way down to the ground. If you don't have blocks, grab a pillow or a blanket. And we're gonna sit in a folded position, but it's not crisscross applesauce. So one foot is further in, one foot is further out, and the hips are squarely, the sit bones are squarely on the mat. That's not comfortable, that's when you sit on a pillow or a block. And now I want you to just like weave your rib cage side to side. Just letting the body move. So we started up with the shoulders and now we're here with the ribs. We're just inviting mobility. And then maybe you begin to like wiggle down and forward with your side to side here. Let the neck move, whatever feels natural, okay? Maybe lots of movement feels good, maybe that feels terrible. Just begin to hinge forward. And then when you feel just a little pull, just stop at that level, but keep wiggling side to side. This is actually getting now into the low back, a little bit into the hips. And then wiggle back up slowly. And just notice, how does the back already feel? And then we're gonna come to stillness. We're gonna change other foot closer in, the other one out. It might feel really awkward, and that is perfect. Awkward is awesome. And then we're going side to side again. Just acknowledging that each side of the body has its own areas of interest, areas that require us to think differently. Different organs, typically one side is taller than the other. Just coming into awareness of all the differences. Again, you're working your way lower and lower until you come to that kind of sticky point where if you go too much lower, it's exertion, and we're not really exerting today. We're not going to the edge of the cliff because today we are not the cliff. And then pause at the top. Couple of deep breaths. Make your way onto your back now. Knees bent. We're going to bring the feet a little bit wider than the hips. And your arms can either be up like in an X or down by your side. I'm going to do mine up. And now you're going to take this loosey-goosey feeling by pressing your heels into the mat and letting the hips just rock freely, wildly. All of your internal organs just sloshing around. And it's just that same kind of reckless abandon here. You're just pressing into your heels and letting the hips naturally come up and back, up and back. The pelvis is getting activated here. Keep your breath constant. And if you really struggle to let the hips rock here, that's okay. That's just your window that your hips are a little locked up. And maybe this needs to be part of your morning routine for a little bit. Working your way to stillness. Now bringing your feet a little closer in. This has a little more activity than we've been doing. Pick your hips up and just circle them around, slosh them around. And then the other way. Hamstrings might be a little activated. We're going to loosen them back up. Don't worry. And then drop down. Take your arms up into an X if they're not already there. Extend the legs also into an X. We're going to do the same thing we were just doing with the rocking, but instead of pressing our whole foot on the ground, now it's just your heels of your feet. So the feet are kind of flexing dramatically back and forth, creating a whole kind of shuffle through the system. The whole body here is getting jostled. We're growing our sense of softness, of ease and flow. And if this feels very irritating to you or agitating, or you're having this dialogue, this is not yoga, then this practice is for you. Keep going. I'm noticing my left ankle is a little sticky, right? It wants to kind of crack or pop or something. So it's just something to notice. And then slow down until you find stillness. And I want you to bring your attention to your heart, the anatomical heart. See if you can notice the blood pumping all the way down into your feet. And then all the way up into your fingertips. We're just coming into awareness here. And then release your thoughts. Working your way into Savasana. And back by wiggling your fingers and your toes. Making your way to a fetal position. Press yourself up to a simple seat. The place in me that is soft and has ease acknowledges that same place in you. Bring your hands to heart center. Together we say Namaste. May you have an easy day.